What's cracking, everyone? My name is Ryan, and today I would like to talk to you guys about the Earacoustic SPA Pro MAX. Now, the Pro MAX is a single dynamic driver IEM, and it retails in for $219.90. Now, this IEM was provided to me from Earacoustic Audio in exchange for my thoughts and opinions. And for that, I would like to extend my gratitude and thanks back out to them. 2025 is officially the Year of the Snake in the Chinese zodiac. Earacoustic is celebrating the Year of the Snake with this lineup of IEM series. Now, I'm telling you this because it encompasses everything about the unboxing experience and design choices. It is the first positive remark I will make about this IEM, but certainly not the last. In the box, you will get the Pro Max IEMs along with a booklet discussing it, an assortment of different silicone tips, a beautiful silver leather storage case that has a shiny zipper to match the aesthetic of the total package. You'll also receive a pretty nicely built, unbalanced 3.5 terminated cable that uses standard 2-pin connection to the IEMs. This is a silver-plated OCC cable, and it's pretty stiff, but doesn't have any issues with tangling, which is nice. Then you'll even get a nice bonus Lucky Charm bracelet. Now, I'm a sucker for a good unboxing experience, and this one absolutely did not disappoint. The SPA Pro Max is constructed of an aviation-grade aluminum alloy 5-axis CNC process plus a mirror silver electroplating. The design is very elegant and showcases the snake on one IEM and the Earacoustic logo on the other. Like Rihanna would say, it shines bright like a diamond, and truly, it does in its elegancy. The driver used is an 11.4mm N52 magnet with a dual magnetic circuit and dual chamber dynamic coil unit. It has a sensitivity rating of 111 dB with an impedance rating of 30 ohms. Now, one interesting note about the SPA Pro Max versus the other in the SPA lineup is that this driver requires a bit more thrust to push it. Now, I'm assuming they would just mean a bit more oomph due to the higher impedance as far as IEMs are concerned, or it's just your typical audiophile mumbo jumbo. Whichever you deserve to choose is fine by me, but a bit more thrust to me tells me give it a bit of juice and set it loose. I don't know. I found this IEM to fit my ears very well and provide a pretty easy seal with the tips that were provided. The nozzles don't go too far into my ears, but the shells grip on perfectly well to the particular size and shape of my ears, if that matters for anyone keeping track of the other stuff that I've jammed into the holes in my head. Now, taking a quick comparison, it's a tad bit larger than the SIMGOT ET142, which is then even larger than the EA1000 for reference, and it's also a nice little sneak peek for the comparisons I will do sound-wise in this video, so keep watching if you care to know. Now, speaking of that oomph or thrust behind pushing the driver, I utilized a few different sources. First was my Hi-Fi R4 Avengelin series DAP. Then I also used both the iBasso DC Elite and the iBasso Nunchaku for some tubey goodness. Honestly, anything I used pushed the SPA Pro Max perfectly fine. However, I did find myself preferring the DC Elite the most, followed by a lot more fun of tubiness with the Nunchaku. As I talk about the sound signature of this IEM, I'm going to go ahead and pop up the graph from the booklet and straight from the site of Earacoustic. It definitely leans to a V-shaped type sound, and that's honestly how I hear it to be. Personally, I think the sub-bass region is a bit more weighted and present than the graph may portray, which is why I never value a graph nearly as much as my own ears. And the mid-bass region begins to taper off as we approach the mid-range. There's definitely a soft scooping of the mids that happens to the sound, but then it begins to aggressively pick up in that upper mid to lower treble region. This gives a decent amount of presence to vocals without being overly forward. The treble does hang around enough to pick up a bit of sparkle that can at times be a bit much, depending on your tolerances. So TLDR, V-shaped type sound signature, as I first stated. Hey, pardon the quick interruption here, guys, but don't forget to like the videos like this one if you do like them. Also consider subscribing to the channel and always drop a comment down below the videos. Let me know what you think. I would always like to know. I also have a Patreon if you guys would like to further support the channel and funding for further projects that I do. Come join my Patreon. You can get some sneak peeks of projects that I'm working on. All right, guys, let's get back to the video. All right, to put some context behind the sound profile that I just explained, let me start with a track example. The track Soul by Aleph will provide that extra bit of weight I referred to in the sub bass region. At the very start of this, there is a sub bass that is felt much more than you will ever notice hearing it. It's unique because it gave me kind of an out-of-head experience when I heard it, as in, I thought something was going on in the room around me to make some kind of a rumble, not realizing it was a subtle enough rumble in the track. I've definitely not picked this up before on other pieces of gear that are more lean into the sub bass region. It's also quite a bit of fun to try this with the Nunchaku as an added tip, as it can over rumble sometimes. There's also a decent amount of attack, so think slam, and kick drums and bass guitars have a good filler of resonance going on as well. Even though there isn't as much weight in the mid bass, I don't find it to be too lean, so it won't feel disjointed from the sub bass, which can happen if that dip occurs too quickly. For the mid-range, I think the track Wonderful World by Beth Hart will showcase some of that slightly recessed mids. For instance, the guitar in this track feels a bit behind her vocals, even though I don't find her vocals to be overly forward. There is decent enough weight and attack to instruments, it just has an overall fainter presentation than something more neutral would portray. I found this to continue with other genres that I sampled, and I do find male vocalists to get a bit more focus versus females in general. Still, referring back to the attack, snares, and drums, wood instruments, they have a good tactile feel to them. I think this is a strong characteristics of the drivers used, as I typically do prefer dynamic drivers for that purpose. It's also showing you that increase in the upper mids that occurs, again, referring back to that V-shaped type tuning. Rounding out the treble and the track Crossing by Yoshi Horikawa will give you a depiction of detailing and separation. Well, I mean, it does and it doesn't. Through most of this track, I found the separation to be admirable for this price point, but it does fall a bit behind once we hit the 2-minute and 30 mark of the track. I wouldn't call it clutter, just not quite as clearly pictured as I've heard with others. There is enough extension of treble that occurs that lends to sparkle and a nice soft tickle that happens on some string instruments. Now, I don't feel it stabby in nature, which makes more aggressive music like metal and hard rock more tolerable on this IEM. What can break some tolerances are a bit of splashiness that I picked up with cymbals and some sibilance that was not curved off with artists that typically have it. Think Patricia Barber or, hell, even my voice when I don't curve that off. I do find imaging to be very well done, but depth and layering do tend to lag behind others in that price range, at least that I've heard. Staging is really difficult to do with IEMs, and I don't find anything special about it with the SPA Pro MAX, other than it's not super closed in or more of an intimate type presentation. One quick note as well is that since this is a V-shaped type tuning, I do think this could be a fun option for gaming. I say fun because I don't see this being a big competitive gamer option, but if you don't care about your kill to death ratio, you can pick these up and impress your Twitch friends as they look so shiny in your ears while you're gaming. Maybe the distraction could give you a bit of an advantage. So try it out and let me know. Two obvious choices that I had to compare this IEM to were the SIMGOT EA1000 and ET142. Both are priced exactly the same as the SPA Pro MAX. Okay, well, the Pro MAX is 9 cents cheaper, to be fair. But let's get the obvious out of the way first, and that the SIMGOT IEMs do provide you with additional tuning options with the different nozzles. The ET142 also includes a balance cable where the others do not. Now, sound-wise, however, is what I would think anyone would care about the most. So starting with the ET142, I find the overall tuning to be more balanced with almost the same weighted bass response you will get from the SPA Pro MAX. The implementation of the planar and piezo driver in the ET142 also make it superior in technical performance. Mid-range is a bit more uplifted and again, just has a better balance. For the EA1000, I do find that tuning to be a bit more aggressive and can be a bit much at times in that upper mid to lower treble region. Also, the overall bass response of the EA1000 is more mid-bass focused, versus the sub-bass region of the other two. So of the three, I still have to give the crown to the ET142 just as I did when I recently reviewed it. It handles sibilance better, has a good amount of depth and layering, and is just my overall preference of the three. Is it miles ahead of the SPA Pro MAX? No. That is why for this price range, you could still opt to go for whatever looks the most appealing for you, especially if you enjoy a more V-shaped type tuning, as there's quite a few people out there that do. Now, I also cannot deny that this is the most stunning and elegant looking IEM that I've experienced in this price range, and I don't care what anyone says, but aesthetics do matter, and they have a place in our decision-making algorithms. Now, I know that's subjective, but hey, it's audiophile rule number 23 that says I'm right. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this new lineup from Earacoustic. They seem to be making some waves in our hobby with many recent reviews popping up, and I have to admit, the striking aesthetics alone made me pull the trigger on checking this one out as well. So I do believe they are onto something, but I do think they have a little bit of work to do in explaining all the differences between all the different tuning options and their own lineup of IEMs on their site. I didn't discuss it really in this video, but if you go to check it out, then you'll find exactly what I'm talking about. Still, I think there's enough positive from the SPA Pro MAX to justify the pricing when we look at the total package. But that is, of course, just my opinion. Rule number 23. With that, guys, I would like to thank all of you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.